Hello. We want to start this panel section with a little joke. So what did the sea say to the beach on a warm, sunny day? What did the sea say to the beach on a warm, sunny day? It just waved. So, ladies and gentlemen, the intersection of food safety, operations, and regulation creates a complex, interconnected system where operational daily procedures such as cleaning, cooking, chilling, foreign material detection, allergen management, etc., must align with legal mandatory standards like your HACCP, Safe Food for Canada regulations, or local laws, with the aim of protecting the health of the consumer and meeting customer requirements. So effective operations must integrate regulatory compliance and ensuring that food safety is built into operational workflows rather than treated as a separate compliance-only step. So me and this panel will be looking at how we can navigate the interconnection of food safety operations and regulation. And my first question to the panel will be the following. How do food safety operations and regulation interact in an organization? Matthew, you want to take that?
Sure. So a little bit about me, a quick intro. I spent about 15 years directly managing food plants, beef, pork, and poultry for the processors. Did a little R&D in plastics before I switched to full-time software about 10 years ago. I don't even know. So spent a lot of time on the operational space and also started out in quality. One of the things that you see most consistently is just the availability of data is there. We've talked a lot about data today. Different groups, disparate systems, all have different ideas. All that data exists today in an organization. How are you guys circling about it? How are you guys organizing that into events that drive not only operations but food safety? How are you making sure that everyone is rowing in kind of the same direction? And so the number one thing that you got to do, align around a problem. We know that we need to find a pain point. We need to find some sort of issue that we're addressing, and then describe that problem with our groups. Bringing operations, quality, and food safety all under the same umbrella creates that marketplace approach of ideas. It's really important for the groups to interact amongst each other. But again, centralize the problem, centralize the focus, making sure that you've got a kind of a championed effort around what it is that you're trying to drive in your organization. And if you can get operations and quality happy and working together, you get a very happy, cohesive group. You get a lot more progress than the siloed nature that we tend to see in a lot of our operations.
Wonderful. Andriana, do you have something to add on that?
Yeah,
Andressa?
So my name is Andressa Bueno, and I am a former lawyer and have been working in the food industry for more than 10 years now. And I work in long-term care, so it's a little bit different, right? We have a lot of vulnerable people, and we have extra regulation. So we are inspected by public health and also by Ministry of Health. What give for us a lot of responsibility how to apply this regulation in an environment where we are working in residents' home. So we have to explain for the team members the importance of food safety. And food safety for us is not just about foodborne illness, but also about diet texture, allergies. So there is a lot of health conditions we have to be careful about. And this is what we navigate every day, putting together what we need to do, that are the regulations, why we have to do that, that's the food safety, and how we are going to integrate that in our operation every day consistently.
Wonderful. I think other speakers who have spoken have talked about the importance of making things simple. regulations at times are so complex, and some of us with our knowledge can read and understand those regulations, but those who are on the floor don't have the kind of education that we have, and they are the ones that do something for the consumer. I tell the folks that I work with that I don't do something for the consumer. It is they are the ones who are in direct contact with the product that does something to the consumer. And if they are given the right tool, if the tool is simple to use, they're going to use it. But if it is complicated, they're not going to use it, and it's going to create frustration. What are some of the challenges that we encounter to ensure that there's a proper alignment between food safety, regulations, and operations? Diva, you want to touch on that?
Yeah, thank you. I'm Divya Mahajan. So I've been in the industry for 20 years, working across different sectors. And working with these different sectors, working very closely with operations, definitely have seen all these challenges that come across with food safety, quality, and operations collaborating together. I think one of the biggest challenge that we have is, as food safety professionals, sometimes we tend to present data or communicate in very technical or very compliance-specific and compliance-focused language. The business leaders or operations teams, their focus is different. They are more towards output generation. They're more focused on business revenue, on how to get productivity out, how to get the lines going. So that's where the disconnects sometimes happen, where we are speaking in technical language and they are understanding the business language. So I think in order to bridge that gap, it's important for food safety professionals to bring forward those data points, or the large amount of data that we have, to present them in a more business language, to translate that information which is understandable by the business. So for instance, just to give you an example, for instance, your customer complaint data, even KPIs around environmental monitoring, these should be connected and brought forward to present the outcomes rather than just the numbers as pass and fail, which may not make a lot of sense to the operations team if presented in very technical terms. So if you present this data more with the outcome of customer trust, business revenue, risk management, and even operational efficiencies, it has much bigger impact with the operations team, and they tend to understand that data and our point of view much better. So I think the companies or the organizations that build that level of trust with the operations team, they definitely tend to go have more alignment within their organization, within the different functions. So I would say that translating the data into more simpler forms, understandable business language, is what will maybe is some of the challenges that it will help us overcome some of the challenge.
Wonderful, wonderful. There's a lot of data that is collected nowadays, and it's very, very important to refine that data to get just what we need, which will enable us make informed decisions. Singh, you want to add something on that?
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ranjit Singh. I'm with Wild Fork. I've been in the industry about 15 years, 10 years in manufacturing, and past 5 years on the retail side. So I think just to build on what Divya said, I think first, it's very important for us to understand the market and the sector that we are playing in. Very often I find, I manage lots of manufacturing facilities, so you go around and you ask people about the the regulations, if they are aware, if they understand. Everybody understands them until you get written up in, let's say, California, because California is special. Everybody knows how regulations go out there. So it's extremely important for us to understand the market and sector that you're playing in. Take that knowledge and information. If you understand that, that's great. Otherwise, these days you have lots of AI tools, lots of articles that are sent out with updated regulations and so on. Take that information back, break it down, and in addition to what Divya said, to different level of organization, those things mean different. Those things may have different meaning. So the executives may not have an hour to sit down with you to understand what it is. So that's why you need to get all the gravy from that information and sit down with them and explain it to them why it's important, why it needs to be done. And it's not that it's optional. the regulations are regulations, they are in black and white, and often you come across situations where operations or the sales team may come up and say, hey, what are the risks here? Can we push these boundaries or can we push those boundaries? Actually, you cannot, because the regulations are written in black and white, so it's important that we understand that, present that very specifically to the executive team, get their buy-in, and that's where the work starts. Because once the executive team buy-in gets in, now you start trickling down the organization, and at different level of organization, try to specify your message to that level of the organization that you're speaking with, because, for example, frontline associates may not care about, let's say, from SQF or BRC, what code it's coming from, but you need to break it down and say, hey, this is what you're doing, this is why we are doing, don't worry about 2.1.1, it doesn't matter. So I think that's really important to understand and break down the silos and work in partnership with operations, because at the end of the day, the goal is the same, to sell products, sell healthy, safe products, and make money for the organization, and it's important to present and wrap that message in that way.
Thank you very much. I think it's very, very important for us to work with operations as partners, not as co-ops. If you want to work as a co-op, then others will be hiding things from you. And when you want to build a good safety culture, people should be empowered to approach you. In facilities, I would say those who are working quality control, quality assurance are less than 5%. So if there are 5 people, there are 10 eyes. And if you are 100 of you in the company, you have 200 eyes. So 200 eyes are better than 10 eyes. And if people feel comfortable bringing those issues to you, that's how you are aware of those issues, and that's how you can easily address those issues with time. So in a company, you have different departments. You have operations, you have supply chain, you have quality assurance, you have regulatory affairs, you have the top executive. How do we work together in an organization to ensure that there's a proper alignment between food safety and regulations, between food safety, regulations, and operations? What are some of the best practices in our companies?
So I really believe we have to invest in 2 things, people and tech, right? Because we were listening before, so AI is here, there is no way back. We have to figure out how it can help us in our daily activities, and also invest in people for sure, because AI just works because of people, right? So AI is here to help people, and we have to create this health environment where people feel safe to make mistakes, and leadership come together and try to find solutions together, and we get to ensure food safety on the operations, not something as extra task, but something that is built together with the operation.
I think a really important point to make is the people focus. And I sit up here as a guy who owns a software company. I sit up here as a guy who works with other software companies. I believe firmly in the direction of software, but like somebody mentioned earlier, maybe Jane, AI has been around for a long time in the industry. If you've ever worked with neural networks, if you've ever built any kind of machine learning model, ever talked to anybody about linear algebra at all, you have been talking about AI. It's best guess. Next token, what goes next? That is what we are building with large language models. We are guessing the next best token. That's it. And so if we don't have proper context to shape that, you'll get a long way the wrong way. You won't get a very good output. And so it's really important to focus on the change management piece. Again, organize about a problem. Don't organize because of a problem. So organize around it, set up a team, make sure you've got the voices in the room, but include people. Our operators are the primary point of control in our facilities. They are the people that touch the thing that we sell. They're the ones that put the stuff in the box that goes out the door that gets your check every 4 weeks or 2 weeks or whatever it is. So those people have so much context. It is impossible to ignore, and you're starting to see that. I was a part of a group called Red Zone for a number of years. We really launched kind of that frontline focus, really giving the operator something to focus on. If you are collecting all the data in the world, but none of it is getting back to that point of control, that feedback loop doesn't exist, you really got to work on something. And so change management, really focus on that people portion first. The tech, there's a lot of options there, but it will not get you as far as the contextual understanding that your operators today have. So please keep in mind, people.
Yeah, I would like to add on to that. As much as we focus on the people on the production floor or the frontline workers, I think leadership plays a very important role in maintaining your food safety culture. So if leadership is strong enough and they are the driver of food safety, they will set the tone of how the organization needs to work and function. And I think once leadership is prioritizing food safety, they're providing the resources needed, and they are supporting the right decisions when they are taken, even though they may not be, the most popular decisions. The organization sees that, and as people see that, trust gets built, and accountability comes in, and that's where I think the food safety culture overall grows. And organizations, organizations that really, the leadership is focusing on the food safety piece, they hardly fail in that aspect. So I think that's very important, how leadership is promoting food safety culture as well.
And I think continuing on that thought, like going back starting from data, once we have the data, it's important to use that data properly to connect with different departments, with different associates, because very often you see people are gathering the data, either they don't know what to do with it, or they don't use it at all, which actually both of them are not a good practice. So use that data. You have some set trainings from GFSI or FDA or CFIA, whatever is required, and then connect it back, take it back to the employees, because at the end of the day, as Theo said, like, our associates are our eyes. The more associates are trained and educated and involved, it will make our life easier. And like in my previous lives, we actually, everybody who's in manufacturing, you buy a bunch of stuff from Uline and you get a bunch of fancy gifts. We started giving away those gifts to employees. Instead of, food safety culture that comes up in GFSI, lots of people do surveys. And what comes after surveys? Yeah, you passed, you didn't get non-conformist, but did you use it? How did you use it? And next year, just repeat the survey. What happens after that? Again, you keep repeating the surveys. But that's where we decided that, okay, we have the gifts. If an employee demonstrate some food safety, they're doing an act that is considered a Food Safety Champions Act, grab them, get them to your food safety meeting, make them part of your meeting, give them a gift. And when they sit through in that food safety meeting for an hour or half an hour, and they realize that people top and down have same agenda. Yes, we have to produce the tonnage, we have to produce the cases and so on, but it's also important to have safe and quality food. And once they sit through those meetings and see how everybody is involved in this, they definitely go back on the production floor and pass along that information to other employees and motivate them. And that's how you kind of grow that real food safety culture in the organization and break that silos, because then everybody feels that they're working together and it's not operations against quality.
Wonderful, wonderful. You just touched a little bit on food safety culture, which I just also want to add a little bit on that, the importance of training. So it is important for us to train people not to respond, or to train people on the whys. Most of the times we train people on the do's and the don't do's, but the moment people start understanding the whys, they're going to do things the right way, even when we are not looking at them. And that's when you build a real food safety culture, when people really understand exactly what they are doing and why they are supposed to do what they are supposed to do. Just to wrap up, we've talked about the importance of training people. We've talked about the importance of tech, collecting data, refining the data, using the data to make informed decisions. And we also talk about the role of leadership. Leadership sets the tone. Leadership sets the objective. In general, in most companies, the principal objective of the company is to make profit, like it or not. But how you make that profit is important. That's where the role of each department comes in to tie with the main objective of the company, which is to make profit. And how we work together as partners. When there's a problem, it's not a you problem, it's our problem. You get into the problem, find the solution together, get a trust from the other teams, and that's how we can all forge ahead as one strong organization. Any last word from anyone who is inspired?
So just to we talk a lot about people, right? So we have to think, so many organizations don't want to invest in people, don't want to invest in training and people development and growth inside the company, but all these things, they are really important. So the teams feels valued, right? They feels like, okay, I am part of this, so I want to contribute to that. So I think it's the biggest piece of the operation is the team feels safe and feel that they are part of bigger thing and they can do better.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
So,
because I think at the end of the day, all these teams need to work in collaboration because they don't have conflicting priorities. When a food safety challenge comes up, which we've seen a lot in the past couple of years with all the geopolitical issues that have happened, when food safety challenges come up, it's not just one team that gets impacted or one function, it's the entire organization, whether it's supply chain, whether it's manufacturing, operations, food safety. Yes, food safety provides all the regulations and they're at the core of documentation and everything, but everyone in the organization gets impacted. And it's important for everyone to understand, as organizations prepare on a day-to-day basis, they build on this collaboration and partnership within the teams. I think that's where the organizations get strong enough to deal with these challenges as well.
And I think it's important to build trust, top to bottom in the organization, because when things happen, you are part of the same team, and sometimes I find that a QA and operation relationship gets a little bit tense. I'm sure you guys would have seen that when you put something on hold. Sometimes operations is fine, they are cooperating, they want to work with you, but sometimes they don't. And I think that's where, as a QA, it's extremely important to understand what battles are worth fighting, meaning how big the risk is, and is it worth taking the action so we are not crying wolf all the time, because that sometimes you hear from the other side. And sometimes, if you know there's a risk, there's an issue, stand your ground. No matter what, stand your ground with facts, present the facts top to bottom, and at the end of the day, our priority is, and I even tell our executives, my liability sits, or my priority or responsibility sits with the consumer. My company pays me the check, but my responsibility is to make sure that our consumer who consume our food are safe and healthy. And in order to do that, if I need to stand in front of our president and argue about a product that I don't want to sell in market, I'll do it. So that's why it's important to know your facts and have all the data and stand your ground if you need to.
And just to kind of close out my own thought process here, but I challenge every leader that I meet, do your operators fully understand your objectives? Can I walk out? SQF 10, we're talking about culture, we're talking about challenging culture, we're talking about auditing folks on the floor, making sure there's evidence that they understand the culture. Is there evidence they understand your direction? Is there evidence that they understand the objectives that the plant is driving towards right now? Those are as big of kind of a thought-provoking and indicative of whether or not they truly do understand what it is you're doing. And so if you don't have good comfortability that your operators know where you're moving, I would question your kind of communication approach and then try to invite some more people into conversations, because it is really, really important that that point of control, those operators have as much information at their hands as they can at the time they're packing the thing that pays you money.
Yeah. In the past 6 years, our supply chain has had a lot of challenges. There was COVID, and food wasn't coming into Canada. Some suppliers could not deliver. Then after that, there was the war in Ukraine. Food can't come in from that part of the world. Then the tariffs came in a couple of years ago, and people were wondering which supplier are we going to prioritize because of the tariffs. And then recently, you have the war in Iran that has caused the blockage of the Strait of Hormuz. Again, these are all challenges that we face as an industry. And it also has an impact on food safety, believe it or not. So it's very important for us to sit down together, all the stakeholders, communicate, and find the best strategy in order to deal with some of these issues. I know we all have our contingency plans, but not everything is captured on the contingency plan. Nobody had COVID in their contingency plan. When it happened, we were turning left and right, wondering what to do. Nobody foresaw the tariffs coming, but it happened. And I'm sure there's still something that will come again, which is not in our contingency plan. But when those things come, we need to sit down together, work with all the departments, find the best solution for the company. Thank you.
Thank you.